My name is Laundi Keepseagle. I am from the Standing Rock Reservation. I grew up in Fort Yates, North Dakota, specifically like Sioux Village and then Boot Hill, which those are like the rugged parts of Fort Yates. um, and my grandmother's Germaine Keepseagle, who raised me my whole life. And then I later went on to study at a school in Wisconsin. I studied organic chemistry, sustainable development, and forestry. I wanted to be a scientist. And my first mentor ever, her name is Dr. Robin Kimmer Wall. She wrote the book Braiding Sweetgrass. And I went to a tribal college on the Menominee Reservation for my associates. And she managed a forestry and botany learning experience basically. And it was an exchange program where she brought students from SUNY ESF, which is the best environmental college in the world, to the Menominee Tribal College, and basically had an exchange of knowledge. And then we went there and we worked with master students, and basically what she was trying to do was showcase that the inherent stewardship that Indigenous peoples have for the land. And looking at Westernized science through an Indigenous lens, we were already the best of the best. And so that was an amazing program, and it really changed the trajectory of my life. And so I later went on to help develop a curriculum that looks at biology and chemistry for 8th and 9th graders through a traditional lens. I won Indigenous Scientist of the Year, and then I started from there learning how to write grants. And that was also like a pivotal moment in my life. To learn how to write and receive grants was a big deal. And I just decided that the knowledge that I was able to learn through college was able just to be applied in all the entrepreneurial things that I wanted to do, which led me to leading Chase's campaign. And then I also managed all the large scale logistics for the No DAPO camp. So I was behind the water that was brought to camp. I got the toilets built, the ordering of the yurts, and I partnered with Sean King and brought in about 2 semi-loads of supplies a day. He helped us raise over $4 million worth of supplies, gather supplies for the camp. So I was managing that. And then we also partnered with Dave Matthews, and I managed that relationship. And we were able to raise about $3 million, which was all used for the camp, and including we ordered 2 semi-loads of cords of trees from the Menominee Reservation every week during the winter. And that was because of my relationship with them, because I went to university there, and also my daughter is Menominee. So I kind of did work in that space. And while I was there, I met Vic Mensa, who is a rapper from Chicago, and he had brought 2 charter busloads of Black youth from Chicago, just kind of to stand in solidarity with us and to experience what we were doing, during the No DAPO protests. And we just really bonded and became close friends. And he was on the 441 tour with Jay-Z and Beyonce the next year. And so we just really had a lot of conversations while he was on tour, and talked about the contemporary and historical alignment of Indigenous and Black communities, and how Black community from urban spaces have so much similarity to the oppression and struggles of Native people from rural spaces. And that dialogue just isn't, we're really never given the opportunity. And so from that, we birthed Save Money, Save Life, which is the nonprofit that we co-founded and I run now in Chicago, which is my day job. We have a variety of programming, and we do a lot of like current event impact work, which we decided kind of to discontinue now and focus more strongly on our programming. But our largest program, our main program, was influenced by the med tent at Standing Rock, and also a trip that Vic had went on to Gaza, and so one of the biggest issues in Chicago is obviously gun violence. It's the number one most violent city in the happenings of gun violence in the United States. And there's 11 particular neighborhoods in Chicago that experience the highest rates of gun violence, and they have no access to level 1 or level 2 trauma centers. So on average, if you dial 911, it takes about 18 to 20 minutes for someone to even arrive on scene. And it's the only major metropolitan where the police are not mandated to perform first response care. So the police are usually the first ones on scene, but they don't perform first response care. So the majority of individuals who are dying from gun inflicted wounds aren't dying because the wound is actually life threatening. They're dying because it takes 7 minutes to bleed out, and it's taking 18 to 20 minutes for someone to come and help them. So we're training civilians our program runs between the ages of 8 and adult learner, and we're training first aid, stop the bleed, mental health first aid, police communication and navigation tactics, so that they're able to communicate with the police on scene, and then also see first responder communication. So they're kind of getting a fast course in how to save individuals' lives, because when you're working in those spaces, everyone you meet has experienced at least somebody they know who has been shot. And so this is happening every day continuously. And so we're just hoping to close that death gap. We've trained over 3,000 people in the city of Chicago since we launched in 2019. And that's kind of like the core of Save Money, Save Life, the core of the nonprofit. And then we have other programming. We're launching this year She Got Beats, which is a training program for little girls between the ages of 4 and 13 on like basically sound science. So we're teaching them how to be engineers, studio managers, producers, DJs, just because there's so little representation in women in that space, but women are great in that space. And so we basically are creating an internship and training program for little girls. So they kick off, they're learning young, and they can move into that space later. And then we have Save Money Studios, which is the studio production storytelling program, and a variety of other things. And that's my day job. And then aside from that, I do a lot of like industry management, may it be from the production level, as in producing videos, all the way to like the production of events. So I manage like performances, I manage stage presence, I like prepare artists presence at major festivals, like everything from getting their video content ready that'll be played on the screens behind, all the way to like what they want in their green room. So that's kind of the work that I do currently. My biggest projects, and I take a lot of identity in my work, which is probably why I'm talking about my work, but I also guess that I work very deeply in activism spaces. I feel weird about the word activist, but I obviously was very influenced by Robin Kimmer, and I have an all Indigenous science book club. I also do a lot of awareness on Indigenous issues in urban spaces. During the epidemic, I was serving 200 to 500 families from door to house deliveries of food. We did over 100,000 pounds of food in 16 weeks. We were delivering a week's worth of groceries every week. I did over like 500 meals. And I guess I say this in numeric impact just because that's how we do in the nonprofit space. But just a lot of work in that space. Also, that's kind of my passion. And more recently, I'm producing and overseeing with an amazing artist out of LA named Glenn Cayino, a 27,000 square foot experiential art piece that is basically looking at wildfire in California. But I was hired on to look at it through an Indigenous lens. And so we're telling the story of wildfire, but you can't tell the story of wildfire without Native peoples. And so I'm working with the Kurok tribe and also the Menominee tribe to basically be able to tell that story. And we're doing it in multifaceted ways. I'm able to look at the research that's been taking place. So 2 specific laws happened in 1911 that basically enabled the Kurok tribe from being able to continue land management here. And since then, obviously, there's been a direct correlation to the wildfires that have been taking place in the state of California. And right now, that tribe has a current, there's a lawsuit against the United States Forestry Department and also the USDA and the United States government to regain management of, at least the woodlands in California and forest management. So I've been able to learn and work in that space, and that's been really, really amazing. And this particular job is kind of like the epicenter of all of my experiences and expertise, which has been really amazing because it's like the science element, Indigenous and traditional ecological knowledge, and then also we're just building this magnificent grand art exhibit, that's going to bring people in to learn this story and learn these experiences with like the best of the best artists and teams, and I'm really excited for that. We're also working with the chef, and I'm connecting the Kurok tribe to the chefs, and we're going to create also a dining experience that's serving all traditional foods. And she just received a Michelin star. She has a #1 restaurant in LA right now. And so it's just like very, like, my underlying goal always is like to, I guess, always reach my hand back. And I did a lot of work, and I spent a lot of time off the reservation and away from my people, and I was very often the only one. And now, like, and that was a lot of struggle with my identity and struggle with like what was important and struggle with assimilation and loss of my culture. And now I'm kind of running into a space where, okay, like, I'm the boss. I can hire whoever I want. I can bring in whatever artists I want. I can bring in whatever teams and experiences that I want into these spaces that I've now like established relationship and good work with. And so I've just realized the last few months for me have been like, man, I'm bringing natives into every fucking thing I do. Like everything I do, like I'm so excited. It's just, today was just bringing Tanya here. I also have the opportunity. It's a secret. It's a secret right now. It won't be a secret, but it is a secret. I just got the budget from major production agency to do an unscripted about Native peoples. And so I brought Tanya in to be a part of that conversation and to be a producer on that. And it's going to be kind of about the power trail. And I'm just like very excited. And so nothing like that really has been made. I think a lot of times in Hollywood, we're represented a very specific way. And in documentary and unscripted, it's often sad stories about us. And this time we're going to be, when I got off the phone with, the team that I was pitching to, one of the guys said, man, that sounds sexy, fresh, and cool. And I said, yes, natives can be sexy, fresh, and cool. I said, exactly. I said, you get it. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about that. And like, Tanya had said something while she was here, to the production team. And she was like, those are parts of us that, we don't ever showcase or people don't see. And, she's like, I kind of thought about like, would our people want other people to see that? But she was like, what? I'm prepared to share that, because why wouldn't we? Why don't we allow people to see our happiness and our joy and our ceremony and the positive elements of that? And she's like, so I'm really excited to like share these secrets. And just because of intergenerational trauma, blood trauma we experience, and oftentimes the majority of us our age are only one generation removed from boarding schools. Like we feel the responsibility to keep our secrets. And also we have to remember we're the 7th generation, and we're supposed to be the one breaking those cycles too. So I hope through production and through storytelling and through camera that I can continue to tell our stories and amplify the goodness of our people. So now with those two projects, the trees, and also with this show, the beginning stages, the pre-production of the show starting, I'll be able to, use both of those spaces to really amplify who we are and my culture and identity, and bring all my people and get them all paid. And that's what I'm really excited for. And so that's where I am now. And I also just got off the phone. I think his name is Jordan Natani, who has been working as a director out here in LA. He's Dene, and he's done some really cool stuff. I was just looking at his Instagram, but he just got a budget from ABC to do a commercial. It's basically like an Indigenous Peoples Day, Native American Heritage Month PSA for ABC. So I was just hired for art direction on that, and it's just very cool to, I feel like we're turning a leaf in storytelling for Native people. I feel like, a lot of that groundwork has been laid by the Black community, and then seen by Latinx community, and more recently Asian community, and really showcasing interesting ways to be who we are. But it doesn't have to be the oppression doesn't have to be the face of the story. We've seen that through like Us. That was just such a great scary movie, or even now, man, what's his name? The Candyman, that movie that just came out. It's a very Black story. It's a story about something that I learned in Chicago was kind of their project that got demolished, and I was able to see that and understand it through that movie. But you wouldn't necessarily know if you didn't have that background. But it was just showcased in such an amazing way, and even touched on how, like, gentrification begins with artists moving into cheap places to live, and those artists might not necessarily be white. And what does that conversation look like, acknowledging our role in gentrification as artists, and even if we are POC? And that was showcasing that movie really well. And I'm hoping to just be able to talk about our really complex stories and nuances of who we are as Indigenous people in similar ways through the things that I produce. So that's really, really where I am. Also, I'm a mom. I have two daughters. Their names are Alexandria and Kaimani. And they're really my motivation for all of life. They're 9 and 11 years old, and they really are like the coolest. I know everyone's like, oh, my kids are cool, but my kids really are the shit. Like, they're very, very cool, very talented. And then I have cats, Sebastian and Winston, and my partners in cinema, and they're the best. And my cat, resonating with the turtle, my cat Sebastian. So I got her, and she's so beautiful, this fluffy like white cat. I was like volunteering at the Humane Society, and I'm like, oh, she's so pretty, I want her. And so I took her in to get neutered or spayed, whichever one the girl does. And the vet was like, so she has boy parts and girl parts, reproductive organs, and neither of them work. And so you don't actually have to get her spayed or neutered. And so then I tell everyone that me and Sebastian had a heart to heart, and he confided in me that he's a boy. And so he instead of a girl. And so now his name is Sebastian. And what's crazy is he was a kitten, real small when that happened. And now he's actually just like this massive, like definitely like tomcat. And I was like, okay, yeah, we had the right conversation. So I resonate with that turtle. I'm like, what is this cat? And I live in Chicago. And that has been a whole learning experience for me to be in the city. I really love it. And now being able to experience the city here in LA and kind of be splitting my time. Whenever I get frustrated or feel overwhelmed, I just think of like, man, I grew up in the state of North Dakota, which is like bizarre. Everyone's like, I've never met anyone from North Dakota. It's like, because no one goes in and no one goes out. Like, there's nothing happening in North Dakota. But then on top of that, I grew up on a reservation, a rural ass reservation. And then in the middle of that reservation, the like village that I grew up in was an island in the middle of the river. So I'm like, man, I really, less than 500 people, And so now, like, even just buildings, I'm like, appreciate that. Allow yourself to still feel amazed, and like allow yourself to still feel like holy shit, this is crazy. Like, I remember when it didn't even register in my head that skyscrapers were real, like until I saw them, or like, the first time I rode in a plane was 2017. Like, just so many, and I try my best to just like remember that I'm really fortunate to get these experiences and to be where I am. And thankfully my daughters aren't spoiled assholes, because I try to keep them grounded as well. Like, man, I had to walk to school uphill both ways. But yeah, I think that's where my story is now. I'm very proud of my story, and I'm excited. I think I'm really changing into a new chapter, and I'm looking forward to what that means for my people and what type of stories I can tell. And I'm looking to really, change the narrative for us. I feel like everything that I consume off the reservation about us is always so sad or over romanticized. I mean, even just like even just burning sage. So like Tanya, she's looking in her bra while she was here, and I'm like, what are you looking for? She's like, I'm looking for my smudge. I'm like, it's in your bra. And she's like, yeah. And she pulls out her little bag or whatever, and she's like, it's just really funny. And then you could tell everyone kind of got weird. And Tanya's a comedian too, so like she's just so funny. But she was like, yeah, she was saying, I don't really know how to shoot. Everyone was like, oh, can we do the smudging ceremony? And she was laughing, and she was like, I mean, it just came out of my boobs, so I don't know if we're gonna call it a ceremony, but she's like, but yeah, we can smudge. And just things like that. Like, those are the pieces of us that I want to showcase, and I really hope that I learn how to do a good job. It's like, we're not this just stoic. I mean, we are sometimes stoic, but we're really funny, and we heal through our humor. And I just am very excited to be in this space, to give us the opportunities to really showcase who I think we are, and the experiences that I've had as a Native person. And I go home as much as possible. I really miss North Dakota. I miss the reservation, and it's just kind of the sacrifices that we have to make in doing this work and being in this space. And Tanya had kind of told me yesterday too, like, you seem kind of like a bridge right now, and I'm really proud of you for that. And so I've just been thinking about that all day. Is like, I like that. I like the idea of being able to bridge the gap in our stories and our people. And also I'm thankful for her, because man, that woman sings every freaking Cree, Lakota, the champion jingle dress dancer, pulls sage out of her boobs. It's like, listen, you are everything great and Native. It's an exchange of knowledge. It's reciprocity.